Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're a new subscriber, you know who you are, and thank you for being here. Anyways, I'm here to talk about why I think we should focus on another movement that I think is even more important than body positivity. So body positivity is super important right now in our culture, and it's grown very popular, which I think is awesome. It's so great to see people, accepting their bodies for how they are and posting pictures of their real bodies instead of girls growing up having to fully rely on a photoshopped model in a magazine, which of course is a real person as well, but we do know the companies who run the magazines take liberties and photoshop the photos. So it's great that little girls are starting to see more representation of all different kinds of bodies. But that being said, I think there is a movement that is more important than body positivity that we should focus on, and it's more internal rather than social, and it's something that I think lays a base for body positivity. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit today. Body neutrality. So first I just want to talk a little bit about why I think that body positivity isn't necessarily the best movement for everyone. Body positivity tends to focus on accepting your body as long as it's at more of an acceptable kind of weight, not too thin, not too fat. And then also it tends to focus on white, able-bodied people. While I think we've made great strides in the right direction, for example, well-known brands like Target, as well as even razor companies, surprisingly, showing people shaving real hair off their armpits, and I consider that to be a form of body positivity in some ways. I think we have a long way to go. For example, it's not often that you see like a clothes ad with, someone in a wheelchair or that kind of thing. Like I said, even though it claims to be for all bodies, it tends to mostly be focused on white, able-bodied people. Another thing about the body positivity movement is I've noticed it tends to be too focused on accepting yourself and being positive about yourself as long as you're perceived as healthy to those around you, which is still kind of too focused on what others think of you. So for example, let's say there's two girls and they're both the same weight. One might be accepted for her body and hyped up for how she looks because she's documenting her weight loss journey, which is great. And people say, oh, you look awesome, love yourself just how you are, you're great. If she's posting pictures saying she loves her body and go her, But also another girl of the same weight and height might get hate comments if she's not actively trying to lose weight because people perceive her as being as unhealthy. She might be working out the same or whatever. We don't know either of their health statuses, but the body positivity movement only extends to the first one because they're both seen as unhealthy due to their weight, but only one's trying to change it. Another thing is, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but the body positivity movement tends to exclude people, based on their appearance. So being too fat or not fat enough, which can be harmful because it might ignore someone with an eating disorder, such as like someone with anorexia who is in a certain type of body actually have a problem. It's very complex, of course, but if people are praising the way someone looks and like the way they eat, it might validate those behaviors, and people might not ever suspect that something is wrong because they're saying, well, I'm getting good comments about my body, I think I look good, I'm praising my body, but no one actually knows that this plus size person, say, is suffering from anorexia, I guess, because she's only eaten an apple that day or whatever. The body positivity movement, I think, definitely has an impact in that way. Finally, the body positivity movement, I think, creates this culture of focusing too much on another person rather than yourself, beating yourself up over not being positive enough about your body. If you are scrolling on social media after posting that picture and you see someone else who claims to be your same height and weight or same body type, you look at them and you go, well, why don't I look like that? I weigh that much, I'm not tall, why do I look so different? And it can be harmful to compare yourself to other people, especially if you're already struggling with your body size. So that's one more reason. So going back to body neutrality and why I think it's awesome and I think it deserves more attention. It almost does the opposite of the things I mentioned body positivity does. So the first thing I want to talk about is the way that our bodies change over our lives. Our skin is not always going to stay smooth. We're not always going to stay at the same weight. Sometimes people get pregnant. Sometimes, tragedies happen. Sometimes someone's appearance change, they get scarred or become disabled or, etc. etc. And so, if we start to love ourselves the way that we are, and something happens that significantly changes the way you look, all of a sudden you're gonna have to start all over again, especially if it's something you don't like. And that can be hard. It even happens for people who lose a bunch of weight. Often maybe they have loose skin or they have like body dysmorphia, and they have to start all over with their self-love journey. So it can happen no matter what weight you're at, and your body changes over time. Another reason why I think the body neutrality movement is awesome is that it focuses more on self-care for reasons other than aesthetics. So like body positivity is focused a lot on looks. Again, at least in the media, if you see something hashtag body positivity, it's often a fun, creative picture of someone that they took of themselves to celebrate the way their body looks, which again is awesome, but it still is focusing on one's appearance. And if you feel neutral about your body, then you will take care of yourself and do things like exercise, stretching, drinking water, eating what makes you feel good for reasons other than, looking good. Sometimes you'll read articles like, drink this much water and you'll have clear skin, or exercise every day and you'll lose 25 pounds, or eat this and you'll glow and be able to make rainbows. And you'll think, that sounds great, I really want to lose 25 pounds, or I really want to clear up my skin. But in reality, what should be happening is if you feel neutral about yourself, like let's say you suffer from chronic acne, rather than pressuring yourself to drink the water because you think, oh, it'll help my skin, if you feel neutral and say, this acne exists at this time in my life and that's okay, I'm allowed to have this acne. Instead, you'll drink water because it's good for you, rather than, I'm hoping it'll clear my face. And so you'll still do those self-care things, but just not for appearances. Body neutrality also promotes better healthcare, but in particular for fat individuals. Hold on one second, I need a drink of my LaCroix. Every time I drink it, I just think, why did I get this? And yet I can't stop. Anyways, body neutrality, like I was saying, it promotes better healthcare for all, but in particular for larger or fat individuals. So the thing is, let's say we have, I like to use examples to understand things, so I'm gonna, be using examples a lot in this video. Let's say we have Diane and Jennifer, and one of them is a thinner person. They are at the acceptable weight for their body, and then Diane is larger, plus size, fat, whatever you want to call it, and they go to the doctor for the exact same reason. Now the thing is, what happens to fat individuals often is they just get told, oh, you're fine, just go lose weight, and their condition ends up flaring up and getting worse. And so regardless of your opinion on if you think fat people need to lose weight, that's a problem, because for one thing, weight loss doesn't happen quickly. If you're doing it healthily, it won't happen quickly. Weight loss isn't the best prescription for a lot of medical conditions. It can, maybe it is for some, but again, in this situation, Diane and Jennifer have the same condition. Jennifer gets treated properly because she's at the right weight. Then Diane gets no treatment at all. She's just told to lose weight. So she decides to start a crash diet, tries her best to work out every day. You'll find studies that show that diets end up failing for most people, and she ends up going back to the way she was before. Maybe she ends up gaining a little bit more weight because that's what tends to happen after crash diets. And she still has the same condition she had before, but maybe worse. If doctors focus on patients in a neutral way, they can treat the condition first rather than being biased by the weight. If you want to check them out, I'm going to link some studies down below. Body neutrality also promotes a healthier mindset and therefore better overall mental health. So again, it has to do with that comparison thing. Sometimes people struggle with their weight so much, or struggle with their appearance so much that, they become obsessed with it in a way and can only focus on that. That's not good for your mental health. If you begin to accept your body for how it is and feel neutral about yourself, then it just promotes a better mindset. Similarly, it eliminates comparisons. Once you stop focusing on yourself, you stop focusing on others so much. This is something that I'm learning for myself especially. So I tend to subconsciously, judge other people, or I look at people on Instagram and I say, well, why can't I feel that confident if I, look the same? Kind of what I was talking about earlier. Once you stop focusing on yourself, that's one thing in my journey I've noticed. I stopped focusing on other people as much. And that is also good because it helps your relationships. It, again, helps your mindset, and that makes you have more positive thinking in general. And finally, it allows someone to focus on who they are as a person, not their weight. If someone likes hiking but feels self-conscious about it because it way their body is, then body neutrality says it's okay, you're allowed to exist as you are now and go hiking. And so it's really important to be able to focus on yourself as a whole person instead of just what you look like, which can be really hard in our society, especially today. I think I've gotten really far as body neutrality goes, and I definitely have a long way to go, but I think that my journey so far has given me enough to speak on. I used to, hate my body in all sorts of ways, but now I've gotten so good at turning my thoughts around, and again, like all those things I said, finding out who I am as a person rather than my weight. I've started roller derby, for example. I enjoy bullet journaling, and I can fill my bullet journal with beautiful art and ideas instead of weight loss trackers and measurements, and then that has allowed me then to actually gain body positivity. It's important to lay down a base for body positivity in the form of body neutrality. So if you can't start in a place of loving every inch of yourself no matter what happens in your life, start in the place of body neutrality, and if you have to stay there, that's okay. So to gain body neutrality, you'll want to start in a mindset of, I am allowed to exist how I am now. This is regardless of your intentions in the long run. If you intend on losing weight, gaining weight, taking medication, wearing makeup, anything, it's just you are allowed to exist as you are in this moment. And just keep that thought in your head. If you start to have a negative thought, just get it out of there and replace it with a very calm, I am allowed to exist how I am now. Even if it's contrary to how you actually feel, I promise you, at first you're gonna deny it, but this seriously changes everything about your mindset eventually. It'll start to creep in there. You'll notice it. You'll start to say, oh, I wish I could change and then all of a sudden that thought will creep in. Nope, you're allowed to exist how you are now. And even if you disagree with it, eventually it's going to take over and it's okay, and you're going to start to realize that, and you're going to start to believe it eventually. Another way to gain body neutrality, and this one's kind of obvious, is avoid the scale or measuring yourself. You'll find that if you reach a place of intuitive eating and body neutrality, you'll find that your body just pretty much stays at the same weight. Even if you're stuck in that binge cycle, binge and repeat that diets tend to put people in, that's okay. Well, it's not okay to get help. Just avoid the measurements and avoid the scale, okay? Because that can affect a lot of people, unless it's no problem for you. A couple more points to gain body neutrality is wearing comfortable clothes that you feel good in. So, that doesn't necessarily just mean like sweatpants or like pajamas, unless that's something you really feel confident in. It's more about like clothes that you feel like badass bitch in, definitely, because then that way you're not thinking about as much, like if you're wearing something that's too tight or something you don't feel good in, you're going to be thinking about that, and it's going to negatively impact your thoughts about your body. But if you're wearing something you feel like a badass bitch in and you're also comfortable in it, then that allows you to just be more comfortable all around and not think about yourself so much. Another thing is recognizing and validating your own feelings. If you get those bad thoughts and you're not able to overcome them with the idea that you are allowed to exist how you are, that's okay. Acknowledge the thought, acknowledge why you feel that way, and let it go if you can. Don't try to push it away and say, no, I shouldn't be feeling that way. Don't beat yourself up for that thought. Finally, be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. Eat in a way that makes you feel good and makes you feel full. And if you can, cook yourself good meals. Listen to your body. And again, be kind to yourself. Health and feeling neutral about your body is all together. So if you feel good about yourself in one way, you're gonna start to reach the point of feeling okay about yourself or neutral about your body in another way. Now, as I hope I've conveyed in this video, I don't think body positivity or the movement is a bad thing. Not at all. I think it's great. And again, especially for people who need representation and who need to see normal bodies, who need to see bodies that look more like theirs. I just think, again, it could be expanded in ways and be even more inclusive than it is now, and I think there's a lot of ways in which it can improve. That being said, I do think body positivity is more of a social thing rather than a personal thing. So, like, for example, body positivity should be used for hyping each other up, making each other feel great, as long as you've reached a place where you personally aren't comparing yourself to others in a negative way. And another thing body positivity should be used for is creating inclusive sizes that cover the whole spectrum and that include all kinds of body types, colors, abilities, and all of that kind of thing. So, for example, you know, I don't know if I want to speak on this as an able-bodied person, but I've seen posts where someone has trouble with typical fitting clothes because their bodies, just the way they are naturally with their born disability, clothes just don't fit right. And so I think that body positivity should be used to push for those kinds of things that are more positive in that area, and that clothing should be more available for a wide array of sizes. Whether or not you agree with someone's body size being a certain way, the fact is, if someone feels good about themselves, they're going to take better care of themselves. And so everyone deserves to feel good about themselves, and a big part of that in our culture is the way we're dressed. Finally, body positivity can also be beneficial in helping one feel good about themselves. In this way, it's working together with body neutrality, because again, if you start with body neutrality and feeling neutral about yourself, go ahead, hype yourself up, think that you are a queen. But if you have that base of body neutrality, if your body changes, you can more easily transition into thinking you look like a badass bitch when that transition occurs, no matter what it might be over your lifetime. And it's okay to feel good about yourself. So to summarize kind of what I talked about today, body positivity is more of a social movement, in my opinion, that can be very good for feeling confident regardless of appearance, but has ways in which it can improve, especially for people of color and people with disabilities, or people from all walks of life. Body neutrality, though, is more for your personal self, and it's good for more normal everyday body acceptance, because we don't always get dressed up. Some days we're wearing no makeup and we just eat a pizza and just feel gross. And so body neutrality is a good way to establish that for yourself, to move on from those things that may have happened that didn't make us feel the best, and for accepting on ourselves how we are, including all changes of life. In the end, it's up to you to define what body positivity looks like for you and what body neutrality looks like for you. And I strongly believe that it starts with body neutrality and it can commingle with body positivity, but you should really start with allowing yourself to be how you are now and knowing that it's okay. I am the way that I am today, and it's about taking one day at a time, one glance in the mirror at a time, and just slowly accepting yourself for how you are now. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and again, thank you to my new subscribers and for all the support those of you know who you are sent me for the incident. And go ahead and follow me on Instagram and subscribe, like this video if you thought it was helpful. Put your opinions down below, whether you agree or disagree with me. I want to talk about it. I enjoy talking about it, and I really enjoyed talking about this because it has changed my life. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.